Recording has started. Okay. So we're here at Dawdy Haus Coffee Shop. The purpose of meeting tonight is just to get a little bit of an understanding about the process that is involved in life coaching, and also to give you an opportunity to get to know the life coaching process through the eyes of a client.
Hooray! Cindy Yoder.
So we have Cindy Yoder here and Andy Yoder, who is a certified life coach. And I'm going to go ahead and, instead of introducing you guys, I'm going to let you kind of introduce each other. So I guess my question for you is, I guess tell me a little bit about each other. Andy, what's your experience with Cindy? And Cindy, what's your experience with Amy?
I'm going to go first. All right. Well, let's see. How would I describe Cindy? It's been a year. It's been a year since we started coaching, and maybe I'll make a list of the things I appreciate about Cindy. One of them is that Cindy embraces challenge. I've seen time and again where we are in a coaching setting, and instead of running away from a challenge that she identifies in her life, she says, no, I'm going to take it head on. And that's something I appreciate about her. I actually walk away from our calls. I was talking to some of you about this earlier. Like, I have the privilege of being in a growth environment, like with every call that I'm a part of. And I walk away from calls with Cindy encouraged by the determination that she has and the way that she embraces challenge. So, I don't know. I'm very appreciative of that about Cindy.
Cindy?
And what I was going to say actually counters that about Andy, that he has a way of challenging you that you don't feel pushed in a bad way, but you kind of have to ask yourself, do you want to stay here? Do you want to go around the same mountain again? Or is there maybe a different approach we could take that would get a different result? And sometimes the right answer isn't the easy answer. But I appreciate how you bring those areas out and help me to look at things in a different way and get a different perspective of habits maybe that have, that have been roadblocks in my life, spiritually, physically, emotionally, in every way. So I appreciate that you bring a whole different perspective to my thought process and in a spiritually edifying way, and that is what I so appreciate about you as a coach.
So it sounds like we're jumping into the process a little bit already.
We're going to be a mess for you, sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's all connected.
It is.
No, I'm just
connected.
noting that. Before we jump into the process too much, though, sure. I do want to ask Andy to give us like at least 2 to 5 sentences, nothing really big, but just a little bit of a synopsis of what you feel like life coaching is, so that everybody sort of has that defined in their mind, because I think that's a question that most people ask when they think about it.
So the super short, sweet to the point definition is life coaching helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, from point A to point B, and it engages you in a way of building awareness around where you actually are, which sometimes we're not always super clear about, and it engages you around creating vision for the future, like where you want to be in the future, and getting a clear picture of that. And then, obviously, as you gain both of those perspectives, it helps you unravel how you take the steps to get from where you are to where you want to be. So that's the short, sweet definition.
So identifying where you want to go, and then steps that are involved in the process of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And even just where you are. Because sometimes people that come to life coaching, they're actually not even sure really where to start or where they are as a person in life. And it may seem kind of like, may seem kind of silly or whatever to like, well, where am I, where do I want to go? The question seems so simple, but when you actually start to dive into them and look a little deeper at your life and your situation, all kinds of like really cool stuff come up. There's a couple verses that tie in, I think, really well with, you know, what is life coaching, and one of them is from Proverbs where it says, where there's no vision, the people perish. Like if we don't have that picture as people of where we want to be going, there's just that lack of motivation and that lack of drive and that lack of, yeah, I know where I'm going and I know that these are the steps I need to take to get there. So getting a vision for the future is a big part of it. And then the other verse that I think really connects well with, you know, the definition of life coaching and building a real awareness around like where you are is the verse that says a person's heart is like deep waters, but a man of understanding draws it out. And in this crazy, busy, like, life that we live, coaching helps to carve out, and I'm getting to the process again, too. Here we go. Coaching helps to carve out that space and that time each week and engages you with the process and with the coach that knows how to, you know, go to those deeper places of the heart that we don't always get in touch with just in our everyday life and our everyday conversations with people. So I feel like that's another verse that's pretty pivotal when it comes to thinking about, you know, what is life coaching.
Yeah, that's neat how that works together. I can see how, you know, you can have a picture of where you want to go, but without understanding really where you're at, how do you get there? Mm-hmm. And you kind of have a really good understanding of where you're at, but if you have no idea where you want to go, then you feel stuck too. So.
And we could get into personality.
Personal trainer.
Okay.
Physical fitness. On my health journey, that's what I had in mind, and that's
when it comes time to think about the future and where we want to be. That just feels like not our cup of tea. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that people's personalities can be strengthened and grown through the coaching process as well. That I really enjoy seeing that come alive in the coaching too.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to dive into our first question then, which is, I'm going to ask you first, Cindy, and then I'd actually like to hear from Andy as well, the answer to this question. So you'll have to think back to when he first started life coaching.
Okay.
The question is, what did you originally think about life coaching?
Well, what did I think it was about? Or
what did you think about it in general? Like, what were your thoughts?
When I first saw your Lionhearted coaching post, I immediately went to personal trainer.
Okay.
Physical fitness. On my health journey, that's what I had in mind, and that was my own agenda for me. Little did I know. It's been a year and we haven't even gone there. Well, kind of just started a few weeks ago focusing in on that. But I had a lot of, I don't want to say issues, but I had a lot of roadblocks in my mind and in my heart and that I didn't even realize were there, wrong thought processes.
Roadblocks is a good word, I think.
Right? Yeah. That just had me stuck. And I think God used this avenue for me, and everybody's journey is going to be different, obviously, but I think He used this avenue for me to go deeper with Him, first of all, and to give me more of a self-awareness of, I was, due to a lot of circumstances, just going through the motions of life. And I was kind of empty, no joy, no love walk really. And that was my thing. I think the first day that we met was I wanted to, my goal really was to have a deeper love walk with the Lord and to be a light in that aspect and physically in my health journey and all that, and be that example to my family, to my kids, to my husband, etc. But what I thought initially of life coaching was physical fitness and learning to eat right, and that is not at all was the path that God took me down first. Not saying that that's not going to be it for somebody, but that wasn't where I ended up being at first. And I wasn't all that happy about it, I don't think. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. I think sometimes the hard things are not what makes us happy, but
but they're
really
necessary
good
and there's good, and good growth. Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like your original idea of life coaching, you came with a goal and a little bit of a vision, but didn't realize that you didn't 100% know where you were at, and that there were, roadblocks to getting there, and throughout the process of life coaching, that kind of brought you along towards your ultimate goal.
Yes.
So and addressed a few other things that were really a big part of your heart process. Okay. So Andy, I have the same question for you. What did you originally think about life coaching?
Well, we started getting to that a little bit here before we started the recording, and I was working, it was 3 years ago, I was working as a personal trainer, and I thought to myself as a trainer that some of my clients' success would be greater if I could help them address like the bigger picture of their life. Because I felt like as a trainer I was working with them in, this small little section of their life that was so interwoven with so many other things, related to work, related to relationships, related to their relationship with the Lord. And so I was like, well, I'd like to add an additional service to what I'm doing as a trainer in order to engage people. So I became a health coach, got certified in that regard, and I still felt like there's still a piece missing. Like I couldn't quite address people in the big picture way that I wanted to whenever we're talking about, where they are and where they want to go. So I went to a coffee shop, like I was saying, just like this, and I met with a lady who I knew was involved with life coaching, and thought that I'm going to check into this, get certified, and then start serving people. And I very quickly realized that I needed a life coach, and walked out of that coffee shop, hiring her as my first coach, and have been getting coaching for, 3 years since then. So my original perspective is that it was going to be something that I'm going to serve others with. And what it turned out being was something that I've engaged with on a, very personal level and seen all kinds of growth happen in my life. So to me, it was a service to begin with that I was going to render, not something that was going to have a huge impact on me. Would have been my initial perspective.
Okay. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question, I think personally that it helps me sort of get a mental picture of what something is if I compare it to something that I already understand. So if we think of life coaching as something that is an investment in your personal growth, just like maybe picking up a hobby that's going to bring you some joy from, doing this creative thing, or saying, I've always wanted to take a yoga class. I'm going to sign up for a 1-month yoga class, one night a week or something like that. And you think about, okay, I'm doing it because I want to be able to enjoy something fun. Maybe if you sign up for a yoga class, your goal is to have a little bit more flexibility by the time you get to the end of it, that kind of thing. So if we think about life coaching as an investment in personal growth, just like, picking up a 1-month yoga class or something like that, as an investment in personal growth, what's been the value of it for you? So what do you feel like, I guess, what kept you involved in it?
I think the biggest thing is just the self-awareness that Andy has helped me with in the last year, and maybe not always being able to figure out the exact answer at that time or whatever, but I think the biggest thing is the self-awareness of what message do I create myself by responding in a certain way or not responding in a certain way, or the most famous thing he says to me is, and sometimes I'm like, Yeah, you'd think I'd think about that by now. If Jesus was sitting beside you, Cindy, what do you think he would say about that? Yeah. I'm probably not, my thoughts are not aligned right now. And that. And I'm getting better. Getting better with that and getting more. And, you know, I'm almost embarrassed to say that, but I just want to be real about it because I think sometimes that we, in spite of us all here, I'm sure, have a relationship with the Lord. I think for me, I learned that there were areas of my life that I wasn't allowing him in because I didn't think it mattered to him. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it was that awareness of myself and the impacts that I have on my own joy that I seem to be lacking, or do you know what I mean? So if I have to pick one thing, it's the self-awareness thing that keeps me going, and I want to. Oh, I don't want to say that I want to cover all the areas because I might not want to. But
it's real.
So it sounds like something that's kept you involved in the process is that it feels like it gives you something that's applicable every day. I'd say that brings a lot of value to you know, if you think about why you pick up a hobby or why you go to a yoga class or something like that. That would be a very valuable thing. So. Great, thanks. So I guess the next question I would have is what growth have you seen in yourself from then till now? Like, how do you feel like what progress do you feel like you've made? Maybe towards your original goal, or?
Well, yeah. If we use that as an example, I think for me to be able to focus on, I wanted to work on losing some weight and being more healthy and being more active and all of that, and I didn't even have the energy to do that because I had so much jumbled up. Some of it was with work. Most of it was with work, just different circumstances, and that I was just, I would say that I had a goal, but I didn't really count the cost and realize how much emotional and mental energy that I didn't have to apply to my goal that I said that I had. And I had to dig through and sort and peel a lot of those layers back. Is that an accurate description?
I'm tracking with you. And I think you're kind of talking, too, about that, like, you know, where are we? Like, where are we? Where do we want to be?
Right.
Like, you kept realizing more and more as we coached, like, where you actually were.
Right. And it's just in the last probably 3 weeks that I've really felt like I could, focus now on my eating, my exercise. We worked together on an exercise plan. And that's going to take some time, and I have to give myself some grace with all of it. But I think the bottom line is that we let, and I know everybody's journey is different. Again, I want to say that I'm only sharing where I've been and where I am. But for me, I had so much emotional stuff that wasn't lined up with the Word, that wasn't lined up with how God views me, and that was causing me to feel like a failure in that aspect. And I didn't realize in how many other areas of my life it was causing me to feel that way. And since we've worked through some of those hard things, I've learned that God sees me as enough. And it's really cool when you dig really hard and you deal with some deep things and you can sense God, that still small voice in your spirit that you are enough, and it's like, wow, you also care enough about me to let me know that I am enough. Not just to feel that you're enough, but to, God's got 100 other things to do in these 2 seconds, but
that was a pretty big moment for you, wasn't it?
That was huge. Mm-hmm. That was huge because one of the things that my whole life I have fought with is I'm not employed. I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough employee. I'm just not enough. And one day when we were on the phone, I think I just lost it because I felt that in my spirit, like, you are enough, Cindy. Like, it wasn't quite an audible thing, but it was like, that was a pivotal moment. It was huge. I was like, wow, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, remembering it. But
from what I recall, it was very loud in your spirit.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it on the phone either, but it was resounding. It was resounding in your spirit, resounding in your soul.
Yeah.
I can remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was huge.
Mm. So, you were saying your original goal was fitness.
Yeah.
But you didn't have the. You didn't have. No, I got off track.
I think I did. Don't you feel sorry for Andy now because I do this all the time?
We have all kinds of stuff.
I think what you said is awesome. I'm just trying to figure out a way to sort of wrap it all up.
I'm sorry. So I'll finish. So dealing with all of those things, I now feel like I have energy to focus on my original goal that I went to him with a year ago. Because I just didn't before. Even 2 months ago, I wasn't there yet. Mm-hmm. I said that I wanted to be, and I did want to be, but I just wasn't. And I don't know why that is. I think God just gives us different things to deal with at different times. And once we are moved to a certain spot with what He's shown us, I think He gives us what we need to then move on. And right now I feel complete freedom in my food journey, and I've never felt that before. I don't want to get all psycho. But I'm doing. This is Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving, and I have a girls' weekend this weekend, and I committed to a no cheat November. And normally that would just send me into all kinds of why did I do that? But I'm like, I can do this. I don't even feel like, why did I do this? What, can I cheat just those 2 days? No. And I can do it. I'm like excited about the results.
Nice.
And before, and again, this is just me. It's just my journey where I am. But that would have drained me before, and I just would not have had the mental capacity to do a no cheat November.
I was gonna say, one thing that I heard you say too is you're just now starting to address, the fitness goals that you had originally come with, and you said. Very genuinely, and I'll have to give myself some grace, and I feel like that maybe is even a representation of the growth that you've had.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very hard to give ourselves grace to be where we're at.
It is. Last week, you probably already saw it on my chart. But, like I did last week, my goal was, and they're very tiny, but there's 3 days a week, 15 minutes, just simply, and my goal right now is to form the habit. And last week, some things happened at the end of the week, and I think I remember telling you this the first day. That's always the first thing to go. And I was thinking about tonight on my way to work this morning, and I thought, wow, you know what? I did it again. And so I'm not beating myself up. In the past, I would have been, see, all I do is screw it up. I just can't be, and it's just that goofy self-talk that we shouldn't do. We wouldn't talk to our best friends that way, so don't talk to yourself that way.
Preach it, sister.
Seriously. But I'm okay with it being that I missed 2 workouts last week. I'm okay with it because I'm going to do better this week. And life still happens, and that is part of my growth, because I would have been just hanging my head in shame and avoiding the topic, and I don't feel like I need to anymore. That's freedom. That's more freedom, and to just be instead of you have to follow this. I mean, that's all good to a, you know, that's all, that's okay, but to give yourself some grace too.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. That's really neat. Well, I don't really have any other questions. Do you have anything else to add? Either of you?
Yeah. I think, like Cindy's touching on some different things. That are definitely coaching things. One of them, you know, is mindsets. Like one thing that we'll often see happen in coaching is where people start with a certain mindset or a certain way of thinking about, you know, whatever it is in their life, and as the coaching process continues, they begin to realize how they're thinking about that and begin to build more awareness, as Cindy was saying, around where they actually are in their thinking. And like, wow, I didn't, you know, recognize that I wasn't giving myself grace, you know, and that I was kind of, you know, beating myself up mentally any time that I didn't follow through with something. And, you know, then shifting from whatever kind of mindset we may want to call that, you know, a beat yourself up mindset to a grace mindset, and just the freedom and the joy that that brings to whatever your goals are. So I think, you know, she's bringing that out, mindset shifts, and that's a big part of coaching.
And it's not an easy. I'm 44 years old, so I'm kind of set. The little pebble paths in your brain that, you know, you're when you have a thought and it wants to kind of trickle down to the next thought, it's hard to change that. It's pretty engraved in there by this time. But I think it's important for growth and to be willing to look at yourself in that manner and just say, you know, this really isn't working, and this, especially if it's not lining up with the Word, it's not working. No.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest point, is not just that it's not working, but it's not working because your thinking is not lined up with the Word.
And you're bringing in, I wanted to touch on this too as you were talking, like, about that moment where you felt like the Lord just really spoke to you in the middle of the session. And as a Christian coach, like, that is the heart and the soul of, you know, what I want for people, is really to facilitate an encounter with the Holy Spirit and with themselves, like hearing themselves on a deeper level, but also hearing the Father, hearing the Holy Spirit on a deeper level as well. And if we were to, you know, apply a Christian phraseology to the definition of coaching, we could say, you know, getting you from where you are to where the Lord wants you to be, you know, in your thinking and your career and your health and your family life and your relationships, like all those ways. And a verse that, like, is very near and dear to me comes out of Ephesians, and it says that He is able to do more, infinitely more, right?
Yes.
Cindy's familiar with this one. He is able to do infinitely more than we can ask, and infinitely more than we can imagine. And so what I love to do in coaching is I love to get people's imaginations up and running, and I love to get their, you know, asking up and running, and then the Lord's still going to be infinitely far ahead of them. So we get to in Christian coaching, we get to engage the heart of our Heavenly Father in a way that we may have otherwise missed.
Yeah.
And that to me is, like, you know, super precious. And I feel like you've pressed into His heart in the coaching, and you've chosen to, like, take a serious look at yourself, and then take a serious look at yourself the way He sees you. You know, as we work through some of this stuff, and there's been times you've got off the phone and you said, "Whew, I need a nap." And there's
more times than not, honestly. In the first probably 10 months, that was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
You were recognizing and working through a lot of different things that you were like, man, I'm ready to ditch these things, you know?
Yeah.
And then other calls, it's off the call and it's like, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah.
Cool, I got something really good, you know? This has been super encouraging.
Yeah, and to clarify, I always got something really good, but sometimes they're just downright exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, but that's okay, because
joy comes
in the morning.
In the morning. Amen. Yeah, so I'd just throw that in there too. Like if some people don't have that perspective or that understanding of the Lord, and they don't want to incorporate it so much in the coaching, and I meet everybody where they're at. Some people want to press into the heart of the Father, and that's their aim and their goal, right from the get-go. And other people are kind of, Father who? Father what? And the coaching process, I adapt that to them then. So I really like to meet everybody, where they're at and work with them where they're at. And it's, to clarify again, like back to the definition of coaching or what is coaching. Coaching is not, it's not like instructional, it's not advice giving, it's not teaching, it's not me saying, hey, this is the way to go this way. It's drawing out what you personally believe and what you personally think, and it's challenging it, and it's letting you decide, is this right for me or is this not right for me? Like you are the expert. I'm the expert at the process and facilitating your thinking, but you are the expert on Cindy, you're the expert on yourself. And it's drawing good things out of you and drawing the wisdom that, is within you out of you, and helping you navigate and use that. There's the whole concept you can teach somebody or you can give somebody a fish, or you can teach them to fish. And I feel like that's really what coaching is about too. It's not giving people answers. It's helping them work through the process of getting to their answers themselves, and then that's something they can take and apply all across the board. And I loved how you said too, Cindy, that like some of the stuff we touched on, it's like you saw it like in all these different areas, how a certain mindset was impacting home life or work life or you personally, and just the release and the freedom, that it brings to start seeing things in a different way and how interconnected it all is. So that would be a couple more things that I would add as it relates to the value of coaching. So,
and I think that if I think about it, that the process of coaching being, if you think about it in terms of teaching someone how to fish as opposed to just giving them a fish, I feel like when you're invested in the process, the fish means a whole lot more.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then you're actually owning in learning these things and able to, like you said, apply them in everyday life, which I think is very valuable. So.
Yes. And back to what I said about Cindy at the start, and really about anybody that gets involved with coaching, like you have to own the process. The coach isn't going to own it for you. Like you've got to own that you want it, and you've got to own the work of doing it. A coach can facilitate it and draw it out of you, but it's got to be you that engages it and gets it done. And there's support there, there's encouragement there, all of that kind of stuff. But that's what I've just seen in Cindy, is that real heart for growth, and not only for her personally, but then also recognizing the impact it's going to have on all the other people in her life, family life, work life, all those places that she engages the world. That growth that she has is just going to be more of a blessing to all the other people she relates to. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed this stuff. Enjoyed it a lot.
It's fun now. It wasn't so much.
Yeah. I think sometimes I was having more fun in the call than you were. I may have been guilty of that.
No, it's just, listen, it's all, and I think, like you just said it, you have to own it. It's you decide, we decide, I decide how deep we go. But when you follow the Spirit, He's probably going to take you a little deeper than you were intending. Just saying.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks for sharing, Cindy. Amy. I think that's probably a wrap for tonight.
Yeah. And then
we'll open it up for questions if anybody else has any questions.
Yeah. Let me turn off the recording here. And then we can do some interaction time.